Dr. al-Halaqi, the government's priorities are providing the citizen services and eliminating terrorism, as well as providing support for the Syrian Arab Army. After maintaining control on Ain Tarma Valley in Damascus countryside, the Syrian Arab Army approaches the completion of defeating terrorism in Jobat. And Russia rejects any talk about changing the regime in Syria and Iran, asserting that any alliance should not make a decision on establishing a buffer zone in any country. Good afternoon. Welcome to our news bulletin. I'm Dania Nizam. In a speech before the People's Assembly, the Prime Minister Dr. al-Halaqi reasserted that the fight against terrorism requires the stopping of support and arming the terrorist organizations, as well as requiring coordination with the Syrian Arab Republic. Al-Halaqi pointed out that the government's priorities are to provide the needs of the citizens and their services, as well as to eliminate terrorism in parallel with providing the support for the Syrian Arab Army. The Prime Minister added that the government will work on enhancing the national media to keep up with the political developments in Syria. The Ministry of Foreign and Expatriates Affairs said that the United States and its Western allies, along with some of its tools in the Arab region, continue their tendentious campaign against the Syrian Arab Republic, in particular regarding the implementation of its obligations under the Convention on the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons, in spite of the strategic and historical decision taken by Syria to join the Convention on the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons. The ministry added that this Western campaign included filing false charges that are not based on facts against Syria, but are merely related to allegations about Syria's use of chemicals in some of its northern parts. The ministry pointed out that the discussions that took place during the meetings of the Executive Council of the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons showed that the failure of the attempts by the United States and its allies to impose their point of view on the rest of the member states of the organization. UN Special Envoy for Syria Staffan de Mistura stressed the need to respect international law and Syria's sovereignty and territorial integrity. This came when de Mistura called on the Turkish authorities to allow Kurdish volunteers and their equipment to enter the city of Ain Tarma to help defend it against ISIS terrorist organization, which is attempting to capture the city. De Mistura warned that the people of Ain Tarma could be subjected to a massacre and a horrifying humanitarian disaster if ISIS enters the city, stressing that any act should respect Syria's sovereignty and comply with international law. Deputy Foreign Minister and the Russian President's Special Envoy to the Middle East, Michael Bogdanov, stressed on the necessity of the political efforts and dialogue to reach a solution for the Syrian crisis. He pointed out that Russia rejects any talk about toppling the Syrian regime. Bogdanov said after meeting Egyptian Foreign Minister Samah Shoukry in Cairo that his country clings to Geneva I Declaration, which calls for reaching a political solution to the crisis in Syria. On the other hand, Bogdanov pointed out that what Turkey is posing of establishing a buffer zone on the borders with Syria should be discussed at the International Security Council with the participation of all member states, including Syria. The Syrian Arab Army tightened its grip on eastern Ghouta in Damascus countryside from the southern side as it maintained control over the valley of Ain Tarma. In an operation that lasted less than 2 hours, according to a field commander, the Syrian Arab Army regained control over Ain Tarma Valley, including its industrial workshops and factories. The accomplishment by the Syrian Arab Army in Ain Tarma constituted a pressure on the terrorist organizations as it cut off the supply routes for the flow of ammunition and terrorists. During the combing operations, the Syrian Arab Army uncovered and destroyed a number of tunnels, some of which linked Ain Tarma Valley with al-Dukhaniya neighborhood in Damascus countryside. Syrian Arab Army units have targeted terrorists' gatherings near Al-Amiriya bridge and killed many of them, destroyed a tunnel. Other army units have restored stability to many villages and towns in Aleppo countryside and killed scores of terrorists. In Deir ez-Zor, the Syrian Arab Army units have killed many of ISIS terrorists and destroyed their dens and hideouts in Al-Jubayla, Al-Huwaika, Al-Rasafi and Al-Rashidiyya. In Daraa countryside, Syrian Arab Army units have targeted terrorist gatherings northeast of Tel al-Mal and west of Tel Masbeh, killing many of them, wounding others, and destroying their vehicles west of Atman. In Qunaytura countryside, many terrorists were killed when the Syrian Arab Army targeted their gatherings west of Tel Mashara and Batina. In Daraa countryside, the Syrian Arab Army units eliminated a number of terrorists and destroyed their vehicles in Jasim, Al-Harra and to the west of Atman as the army units chased them in Daraa, Al-Mahatta. In the neighborhood of Ghairan, in Hasaka, a Syrian Arab Army unit in cooperation with the citizens found a hideout containing weapons and ammunition that were used by the terrorists to attack the secure citizens. In Homs, the Syrian Arab Army units have foiled terrorist attempts to attack Al-Mas'udiyya and Jabal Jarrah villages in Homs' eastern countryside, killing and wounding many of them. Other units targeted terrorist gatherings in the vicinity of Al-Bir Hospital in Restan and Al-War and Tel Dow and killed many of them. In Lattakia northern countryside, the Syrian Arab Army restored stability and security to al-Jouz and Rouaysat, al-Jouz villages as the army units continued military operations in Salam area. The victims of the two terrorist suicide attacks in Baghdad rose to 34 people killed as 54 others were injured. Meanwhile, the Iraqi Army's Tigris Operational Command announced that it killed more than 120 terrorists from Daesh in the past few days during operations that took place between the areas of Hamrin Dam and Al-Mansouriya in Diyala province, east of the country. With this, we end the news for today. Thank you for watching us. For more details about Syria and the region, you can always view this bulletin again on our website in English, syriaonline.sy. After the break, it's our latest business and market news with Vani. God bless you all and long live Syria.